All right, Jeans, are you ready to be counted in?
Yes.
All right, ready. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Makes us smile every time.
Every time.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Where my mom's at? Where my mom's wearing thongs, hitting bongs at? Raising kids, cleaning shits, need a long nap. Where my mom's at?
Where My Mom's At podcast with Christina P.
All right. Normally, I would be plugging my dates over this music, but we're rescheduling. The agents are scrambling to redo everything. So Christina P online, eventually it'll all be worked out. And with me is my beacon of hope, the man who has calmed me down and everyone else I know, Dr. Drew Pinsky.
It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you for being here.
Speaking of the agents scrambling, they're scrambling to keep their jobs.
Those
Those guys,
dude,
the agencies are really in trouble because everything, entertainment was always considered inelastic, like it didn't affect by recessions.
Yeah.
It's affecting everybody.
Well, not the podcasters, thank God.
Well, the podcast become like the French underground. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like we're communicating with the world. I do a stream every day. You were on one yesterday.
Yes.
And it's given me purpose
Yes.
to just get online and answer people's questions. And
Let's
try
talk
to,
about that.
And try to get the BS that's in the press toned down to reality.
Talk about that because
That's been my thing from the beginning.
You have so much heat on you with having this perspective, and everyone's like texting me, "What does Dr. Drew think now?" It's like, no. He said all this stuff. You guys are not listening.
I underestimated what we would do. I underestimated the impact it would have, but I said from the beginning, follow the CDC's recommendations. Whatever they say, if they need to make a big reaction, just do it. That's all. They know how to keep us safe. Fauci, I've been alongside of him since the AIDS epidemic.
Yes.
And then we were scared to death then too that we were going to have 10 million dead people in 3 years.
Well, because we didn't know how it was transmitted. We didn't know
we were
what
overstating
it
the risk to try to reduce the transmission rates. I
Yeah.
hope that's what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Because that's fine. And we've all sort of collectively signed on to it, which I dig. I dig that we've all kind of gotten together. I also dig there's a lot of people working on the DL. I noticed in this little compound. There's a lot of people working. But I dig that we've decided to do this, and we're all doing it. Have we ever done anything else collectively as a country? It's incredible.
No, usually just shopping and bitching and
bitching and voting.
Yeah.
That's about all we do together. And so to me, and forget country, world, we've done it.
Yes,
But as a
world.
country especially, I think. And so I hope we come out of this better than we went in. We'll see. That's going to be pain. And this is the part I was trying to mitigate. I knew the panic was going to be terrible. I knew we'd react to that panic, and people's lives are going to be upended. Lots of people's lives. I mean, people who were doing something successfully over here are now going to be doing something else over there because those things won't exist anymore when you're the other side. That's going to be rough.
it is going to be rough.
And by the way, suicides are going to go up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Panic.
Oh, yeah.
Your friend Bert Kreischer calls me instead of once a week, 3 times a day.
Is that right?
Nah, not quite that bad.
No. But I mean,
But it's mostly to help Leanne.
Well, 'cause I-
Leanne's like, Drew, will you talk to Bert? Like, I can't take it anymore.
well, you talked me off a ledge in my pantry 2 days ago, and my kid was screaming because I'm like, I think I have it. I have the virus. I have anosmia. And you're like, Christina, you're congested. I'm like, okay.
But that's normal. I was thinking about
Yeah.
this. All my best thinking is in the shower. And I was thinking about that this morning, that it's totally normal when we're thinking about some damn thing all day long to think we have it.
Yeah.
It's just normal.
It's like when you think you might be pregnant, for some reason, every commercial
That's
is
exactly the way I am. Right.
Yeah, because I was trying to think of what
That's the way our brain works. We read in. We predict the future. That's what our brain does.
That's all we know. And this is such an unprecedented thing. We have no precedents, at least the common us people.
No.
You've dealt with pandemics. We have not. So we don't know what the heck.
And that was the thing I was trying to give people
a
a little collective perspective. Not to say that this pandemic is the same as the last pandemic, is to say the last pandemic was in 2009. It killed 500,000 40 to 60-year-olds primarily, with like young people, and it infected 1 billion people. And you don't know what happened.
This is H1N1.
Yeah,
you're
this was
saying.
the swine flu.
No,
You barely remember it happened. So just keep that in perspective as we react hugely to this one. Is that how long and how much? Just keep it in the rearview mirror.
and was that in the United States as well?
Oh, I got it. It was
know,
brutal,
you told me that.
brutal.
I got it too.
You got H1N1?
It was.
I got the swine flu, yeah.
Man, that was brutal. I went to the hospital. I thought I'm dying.
Oh my God, you guys.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like that. I'd been in the Caribbean, and I was on an island called Dominica, one of the ones nailed by the hurricanes.
Dominica.
Not quite that. Was it Dominica?
Dominica.
Was that it? Or was it?
Those lesbian nuns. They
Okay.
became
Oh, yes,
lesbians.
right. Dominica, Nika, Nika.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
I'm a cool mom, too.
Yeah.
And we'd been hiking the island, and I was in flip-flops. And I get down to the city, and this newspaper sitting there go leptospirosis outbreak, which is this horrible.
What's that?
It's a rat urine-borne, water-borne. Get on your feet, get on your
course.
hand. Yeah, it's horrible. It's a spirochete that gets into your blood and explodes, and it's a mess.
Hold on, pause. This is why I tell lunatics, stop wearing flip-flops in public like they're shoes. In New York City, I see these dirtbags in summer wearing flip-flops. They're not proper foot coverings. Leptocirrhosis, see?
Did that in college. Got out of a
God
subway
damn
once.
it.
Got out of a subway once, Californian,
Yeah.
like my sophomore year of college or something. Got out of the subway and I thought, I'm like I like belong at the beach.
Yeah, what are you
Ridiculous. What am I
doing?
doing?
So go ahead.
So anyway,
you're in.
so I go and I get like really sick, like really, really sick, where I can't lift my head up and I'm having violent chills and I can't get warm and I'm kind of confused and
You've had everything.
yeah.
You've had
and I go
everything.
I have leptospirosis. Let's go. We got to go to the hospital. I got to get on some doxycycline right now. I'm gonna have a Herxheimer reaction when this is. And I announce this to the hospital as I'm walking. I'm like, I'm exposed to lepto. Give me the doxy right now. I'm gonna watch out for the Herxheimer reaction. Which is when you treat it, suddenly all the organisms explode and then you react to that.
Oh
with your
my
immune system.
God.
Anyway, they go, calm down, just slow down, lie down, nose up,
Yeah, swabby swab.
H1N1.
Wow. That is terrifying.
And I had pneumonia and stuff with that too. It's just like, just like this.
I've had pneumonia too from my kids. But I wanted to I wanted to say something to the people that you told me that gave me a lot of comfort. And I tell other people about Dr. Fauci, since you know him so well. You said that during the AIDS epidemic that he used colorful language and he was he was selling danger.
And I was with him. It's why I went on the radio in 1983.
Yeah.
I was part of the army going 10 million dead in 3 years, 10 million dead in 3 years. I don't remember the exact number. We were really we were very worried.
Right.
And
but we didn't know it was sexually transmitted.
We
back
did.
then.
We did.
Oh,
we did. But by that point, we thought there were no risk categories, and we thought people were not paying attention, and we thought using condoms, no one will ever do it, and we got to really, really, really get
hammer
on
it in.
And we ended up with 175,000, which was horrible, but not 10 million like we thought. And so it was,
But the point,
I'm hoping the same thing.
Yes,
I'm hoping we overstated.
But meaning that Dr. Fauci will say, everybody go the fuck inside. Everybody stop this. So that the hope is that just 10% of these assholes, right?
Like 90% of us for 10% of the time, or whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
We'll really stop this transmission rate and really
slow
make a
things
difference.
down.
And remember, the goal was not, and this is what people have to remember, the original goal was not that nobody gets sick.
Yeah.
The original, it's going to happen. And not that nobody dies. That's going to happen. It's awful.
Yeah.
The goal was not to overwhelm the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Which we've done an amazing job at. Amazing. And we should be congratulating ourselves along the way here. And I think the reason we're not is we're in the middle of it. It's hard to know where it's going to go.
Do you think we're in the middle of it, or is it going to get way worse?
It's going to get worser, but I think we're in the midst of it.
Is worser proper grammar, or did I just make up that word?
For this particular situation, I think it's reassuring to use that word.
It's going to get way worser, Dr. Drew. Way worser. Okay, so it's going to get a little bit worse, do you think?
It's going to get, the numbers are going to get scary. I think people look at those numbers and go like, oh my God, this is scary. But it's not the 60 million they predicted. And it's also not now again, just for perspective, not for comparison, but perspective, not the 24 million we had in the flu.
Yeah. Oh, the flu kills.
It's 18 to 25,000 people a year. So it's going to be if we keep it anywhere near the flu, we're doing our job.
We're doing good. You guys are doing good. That's okay. Right. Well, you're also, in addition to being a brilliant America's doctor, voice of reason, you're also a father of triplets.
And a mommy.
And a mommy.
Oh, daddy
That's
and
right.
a mommy.
Dads are moms too in this place.
That's right.
We don't gender anybody. There is no
Right,
gender. But so anyway.
I had a whole conversation with myself this morning about my mommy jeans.
What
Literally.
do you mean?
I've been wearing those Muggsy jeans, Nadav, because they're so comfortable. They're like sweatpants. And if I don't have them, I wear something similar until I can wash them and get them. And then today I put on regular jeans for the first time. I thought, wow, I must be feeling better. I'm feeling like more like in the world.
You seem happier.
Yeah.
What have you been doing? What's your quarantine day like?
I work out, and I've been running, and that's made a big difference. Getting out sunlight seems to be a major, major deal.
On days when it's cloudy, I am depressed. On days when the sun's out, I'm like.
But I was isolating indoors.
Oh yeah.
I was taking
depressing.
everything literally, and I'm such a taskmaster. It's really weird because as a resident, I was, as a medical student, the resident said, jump in that pile of shit. I go, half gainer, full gainer, what would you like? It's like, and I would just go do it. And I feel I'm doing the same thing now when our leaders say, lock down. All right, I'm locking down. That's it.
Yeah.
I respond to taskmastering. That's it. I'm trained to do that.
Yeah.
And Susan was actually giving me a little bit of shit about it because you're being ridiculous. You're overdoing it. I'm like, yeah. Automatically without even thinking about it.
I like you so much. I like you so much for that.
For being a taskmaster.
Just being kind of
it was great. It was
rule follower.
Yeah, I'm a rule follower.
I like that.
It was great for
too.
being a medical student and a resident because your superiors love it and they would give you more stuff, more responsibility, so you'd get more skill and see more pathology. It was great. It really was reinforced, so I got really crazy with it when I was in training. Like I was just like Johnny on the spot. You want me to stay up all night? No problem. No, 2 nights, 3 nights, whatever you need. I'm there.
You're
I'm
a worker. You're a doer.
Workaholic.
So you are a workaholic. So this must be excruciating for you to dial it back.
Yeah. But I'm finding the difficult part is that I can't use vocal fry like that all the time.
Yeah.
No, but I find the difficult part is that I have trouble planning forward, and I realized I was doing an awful lot of that all the time. Like
planning, I am the same way.
Yeah.
I knew it's going to happen in October. I know it's going to happen in Christmas.
And I was looking forward to it.
Same.
And sort of not have that really was, and to be also, my wife and I were starting to travel a little bit and take more time that way, and that's all gone. It's like, and we were really like for the first time, like she'd go, I'm going to go here. I go, let's go. And this summer was going to be that summer.
Oh, because you guys are at the age now, your children are
I beg
out
your
of the
pardon.
nest.
Yeah, the kids are. They are, but they have notes for us. They
have notes for you.
Notes on how we should live. So
tell me everything. So let's start from the beginning, because I don't know if people know this about you, but you and Susan have triplets.
No.
And I'm assuming IVF.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fertility campaign.
All right, let's talk about it.
on.
So
Yeah.
what happened? So how old was Susan? Was it an age thing or just a fertility thing? Why you chose?
So she had a hint. She had an ectopic pregnancy when she was in her 20s. So she figured there was, well, first of all, one tube was gone from that surgery. And she felt like something doesn't seem right. She was told there could be some problem. So one of the most selfless things she's ever done, by the way, I will never forget. I don't know if I've ever told her this, but she went and had a hysterosalpingogram to see if her tubes are open.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah.
That is fucking
But she
horrible.
went in, she goes, I'm going to do this because I don't want you to, I'm not going to subject you to not being able to have children if that's what you want. I was like,
This is before you were married?
Yeah. And
Wow.
right when we were deciding to do all that. And I just said, we will figure this out. That's it. I love you more now. We'll figure this out. And so it turned out she had a tubal defect in terms of a genetic defect in terms of how the fimbria bring the egg into the tube or something like that. And so they said, no, you're going to have IVF. So that was that.
That was that. And this is what year? In the 90s or something?
91. It was like, I mean, she had me in the fertility office the day after we got back from our honeymoon.
So she was ready to go.
Yeah,
she wanted children. And did you want children?
Yeah, but probably not as viciously as she did. And then we had one round success, but it ended up in the wrong part of the uterus, and it's called a corneal pregnancy. So they had to go in and take that out and fulgurate, burn the entire uterus, so that didn't happen again. And now we were totally dependent on IVF. Yeah, and we did it again. 5 embryos. They used to implant 5 then.
Yes, they had to throw them all in and see what happens.
4 took. And we were like, I was horrible. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is not what you guys think it is. This is going to be terrible. 1 resorbed, it sort of dropped out. Yeah. And then we had 3. And people were trying to convince us to do a selective reduction.
No, I think that probably be the hardest decision in the world.
Well, so we went and held up in a hotel all weekend. This is the last quarantine we had, I'd say. And we were just like, what do we do? What do we do? They're telling us to do this. They said, don't have triplets. They literally said, here's the literature on the probability of your marriage surviving, on the mental health of children, and blah, 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 blah. There's all these things that put triplets at risk. And they were like, I'll never forget this. The obstetrician said, I will get you 3 healthy babies, but don't do this. And we were like, okay. And then we just couldn't come up with a reason. There was no justification that we could come up with. So we're like, we're going.
Just
I
go.
literally felt like I was playing Texas Hold'em, and I just went, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Just all in now. We went from being the
Yeah.
cool young couple that was to being all in parents.
Lockdown.
And I told this story the other day, and my daughter was like, I didn't know that story. I'm like, yeah, all in, honey.
Well, that's what it is. People are.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. People are freaking out about this lockdown, and I'm like, bitch, I've been done lockdown for 5 fucking years because I have 2 small children that
Mommy
don't go to
lockdown.
school.
Mommy
Yeah,
lockdown.
what are you talking about? I was pregnant twice. That's lockdown, and I have 2 babies. So, okay.
And when I first met you, you
Duh.
were already on lockdown.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's
this
hard.
is
Yeah.
this is Tuesday, bitch. It's fine. But so you have these children. So 3 children show up, and how do you deal with who does what and work and blah blah blah?
Everybody is in survival mode, and manpower is what you look for.
Okay. Did you have relatives?
Manpower. Relatives, work, anything. Manpower.
Yeah.
Because the best you can do is man to man. Think about a singlet. A singlet is often 2-on-1. Mom and grandma.
Yeah.
Never. You're never 6-on-3. Ever. You're 3-on-3 at the best.
Yeah.
And usually often 3-on-2, which is you are outgunned.
You're outgunned. Well, even 2-on-1, which is
Mm-hmm.
my life a lot, is enough to make me mental. So, okay. How does it affect the marriage having triplets? The first year must have been...
if we look back, it'd be interesting to get both of our perspective on it. I remember
Yeah.
we had a lot more fighting, a lot more, bickering, a lot more anxiety. There's high anxiety.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't respond well to my anxiety, so that was sort of.
What was your anxiety about?
Safety, and
Yeah.
I know it can. When you're a physician, you know what can happen. And so every fever is leukemia.
That's how I am. Maybe I'm a physician. I'm convinced. Every cough is like, well, great, pneumonia, viral
This is
dying.
it.
Yeah.
And injuries and stuff. I know, and we're sort of out of control all the time. I'm like, "Ah." And then of course I'm doing Loveline. It's the mid '90s when all the sexual abuse is going on everywhere.
McMartin preschool trial.
Yes, I'm like, ah. And so we got through it, and about age 5, it gets a little better.
Yeah, I'm finding 4 is my point
4 or
where
5.
I'm
You
like,
get better at 5 even. Yeah.
this is great. Now I'm glad I had 2. I
Yeah.
love it. Because right now my 20-month-old is he's all mommy all day. He gets mommy attacks. Like he'll be across the room and I'll just be like, mommy, mommy, mommy. And then he must be held. And he weighs 26 pounds. So he's on this arm
glad you married Tom.
as I'm cooking. Oh my God. His children are enormous. Their heads are enormous. They tore through me. But how did your wife handle that mommy phase?
It was
like,
it
with 3.
is we would discuss how a part of being a mom that is not discussed is that each child puts a hose into your skull and sucks your soul out 24/7.
I know.
That's their job, to suck out your soul for about 5 years.
I know.
And you just have to go for it.
Yeah.
And so she was doing nothing but that.
Yeah.
There's no way. you could do
Surrender.
anything. Just
surrender, yeah.
And it's just the goal was trying to find help that could give her spell, to spell it.
So you had a nanny or nanny?
We for a while had shifts and things.
Yeah. You got to fucking need help.
And I think that's the reason we didn't come out as a bad statistic.
Yes.
Whenever we talk to other triplet parents, we just go all in on help. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't
Spend all your money.
Spend all your money on help, and do not be the self-sacrificing, hero parent.
Yeah.
Get help.
Well, I felt so guilty about having help with Ellis, but my husband traveled, the first 6 months, and I know, but I was like, that's my job. I should be all in, and I want it. And I'm like, yeah, but he turned out fine. We had a nanny, and Ellis is fine. He's totally bonded to us. His behavior is amazing. He's intelligent. And same with Julian. He's fine.
Sure, Tom was the father.
I'm there all the time. Oh my God. He's definitely the father.
Okay.
But okay, so marriage was tough the first, and then by the time they're 5, they're chill.
Better,
Okay.
and then you're zooming into all the stuff, all the little leagues and the theater and the ice
I'm
skating.
dreading
and And so we were in like a hyper mode for 10, 15 years. But the other good news about triplets is, and then it ends. And then they get the ultimate daycare, which is college.
Yeah.
and then we were like, whoa, this is awesome. Daycare. This business of empty house, empty nest, we had the opposite.
Yeah.
We were like, woo! It's
Get
like,
outta
this
here.
is fantastic.
And so now you guys have a chance to reconnect, you and Susan, and now you have your freedom. Now it's the time of pandemic,
We have
but
millennial children.
yeah, okay. So
they're
now,
back.
they're back.
They're back. So
So what's that like now?
that's a little more challenging. They have to, they're, They're trying to figure out their own lives, and they're resentful of anything that we do or don't do or normal.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 28 or 27, I could not be around my parents.
Oh, what hate? Well, yeah.
I was like
yeah.
a cat on a hot tin roof.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
And I look at them, I go, that's their version
It's a job.
of this.
And then
It's their
once
version.
they have children or they're in their 30s,
I feel
they'll
like
be
once they find their place in the world and have
Yeah.
a kid, then it's like all over.
it
It's
all
fine.
chills
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Nadav is asking.
Oh, yeah. Nadav wants to know about food delivery.
He's very impatiently. He puts it up on the board in blue. He
So
really
food
wants-
delivery, don't, have them put the bags outside the door.
Okay.
Bring the food in. Put it on the kitchen floor, not on the
On your
countertop.
counter. Yeah.
Wash your hands. Open the bags. Wash your hands. Pick the materials out that are in there, and now you
Yes.
have to put them on the counters and things. So, but you've done it with clean hands, your own clean hands at least. Put it on the counter. Open them. Wash your hands again, and then serve with new utensils.
Amazon, same deal? Or do I just leave the box outside for 3 days and I'm fine?
Amazon, exact same deal.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
Or you
gonna
can
get
just
it.
leave it out there for 3 days. Yeah, that's fine.
leave
Same
it
thing.
out there.
Same thing. Now there's all this stuff about 17 days on the surfaces of a cruise ship. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It really is primarily transmitted person to person.
Yes.
And
the
the-
droplets is what I hear. It's coughing.
The primary, it's coughing and sneezing, but but you could sneeze and cough on something, and then hands, face. That hands to face, you need to be. I saw this video I put up multiple times yesterday while you and I were doing a stream from a doctor in New York City that's running the biggest ICU, COVID ICU, and he said, "We're not getting sick. The doctors and the nurses are not getting sick because we are hand Nazis. So don't let your hand go to your face." And I think the other thing that I really believe the reason that New York's getting blown up is the elevator. Think about that. You walk in,
yeah.
shut,
Yeah.
aerosolized in a box.
And the buttons.
But you could deal with the buttons with all kinds of barriers and things. But the aerosol has been shown to last for 2 hours. Now in the world that probably doesn't matter, but in a closed box.
Oh, and the subways. They're in the subways
The
too.
subway,
no?
I was on the subways late in this whole process, and so I had firsthand experience with the subways. They were Cloroxing them 3 times a day.
Ugh.
Everybody was wearing masks. Everybody was social distancing.
Yeah,
everybody. And I felt in control of my environment. Like
Okay.
I didn't ride it at rush hour. You know what I mean? I felt like I could control my environment, as opposed to when I got in a cab.
Oh, you
I was like, "Oh my God, I've got to. I can't. What do I? I can't."
Well, 'cause they're
and
so-
the guy drive. There was
Yeah.
a million things I was
Yeah.
worried about that I couldn't do anything about. So
Yeah.
I thought, cabs, Ubers,
No.
no, thank you.
Well, because they're so greasy normally.
And what am
in
I
New
going
York
to bring
City.
the Clorox?
You
Which, by the way, I have my Clorox wipes even for the
and
mommy's
we're,
house.
we're 6
Yeah.
feet apart.
And we're 6 feet apart, exactly.
Yeah.
And we could be wearing masks. I'm a mask advocate, but I think our risks are
I
very
don't have
low,
any.
so,
I
yeah.
wear one.
I've got to get some for you. So.
Please.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Okay. But the point is, there are many different ways of environments where that sound bad that aren't as bad as you imagine if you pay attention.
Okay, so let's get the medical stuff out of the way,
Okay.
and then I want to answer some just regular old dad questions, because you know what? We need to get out of COVID mind. I'm sure
Well,
you're
that's
in
why I
it.
had you on stream
Yeah.
yesterday. It's available at a pod as a pod on Dr.com, which is I want to clean the palate a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to do some old plain old
Let's talk about pooping.
yes,
and-
plain old brown talk. There's always Dr. Drew After Dark. I'm sure it'll go on there.
Okay, so let's get this one. How will this end? Is the outcome of the pandemic either herd immunity or a vaccine in at a minimum 18 months?
Well, those are the absolute ends of these things, right? That's where it ultimately ends. But the really question is, when do we get to go back to work, right?
Yeah.
And so that my prediction is this is the week. When is this going up?
Today.
Okay. This is the week you hear about testing and treatment. Testing and treatment. It was really interesting yesterday at the White House press conference. Those 2 words were used in conjunction. We're going to see about testing and treatment. So treatment, hydroxychloroquine was just approved, which
The
means there must
malaria drug?
the malaria drug, which means there must be
God.
some evidence that it's working. I was just reading a study of 600 patients on the way over here where none were hospitalized because they took hydroxychloroquine.
Right. As
maybe.
a prophylactic?
No, as a treatment. Doctors are taking it as a prophylactic, so presumably that's being studied to prevent the infection, right? A preventative measure, not a prophylaxis.
Prophylaxis.
Yeah.
And what's anaphylaxis?
Anaphylaxis is an overwhelming allergy reaction. Thank you for bringing that up.
What does it mean when you take it
And they
after?
rhyme.
What about anaphylaxis? Now,
Anaphylaxis is not a word. So
what about, what's it called
but-
when you take
so-
it after you've been infected?
treatment.
No, what is a word for it? It's not prophylactic. It's
treatment.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I don't know what you're talking
My
about.
doctor said it to me with the Tamiflu.
Therapeutic. Oh, well, the Tamiflu for your household contact.
Yes.
That's preventative. That's prophylaxis.
Prophylaxis. Okay. Sorry.
But anyway, so that's very encouraging. And if we reduce the hospitalization rates, if we reduce the fatality rates and the hospitalization rates dramatically with some of these treatments, well, this becomes the flu then.
Yes.
It just becomes the flu at
takes
that
it
point.
Down a notch.
Now a bad flu and a contagious flu. So we'll still be doing aggressive measures. And let's assume that doesn't happen. Let's say it has a 20 to 30% impact, not a 100% impact, right? The next thing is going to be who's immune and who has it, and how can we isolate them using technologies. Dr. Birx, the woman that stands up with Dr. Fauci at the White House, she's my new. I have three heroes in this thing. Fauci, who's always been my hero. Birx, whom I didn't know before, but she was doing monitoring of AIDS spread in Africa. And she goes, I do this technology in Africa. I'm sure I can do it here. So I'm sure she's working on a plan for how we determine who is active, who is immune, and how do we monitor and stay away and keep there's going to be some technology or some. We're going to be sneeches wearing stars on our shit, whatever it is. Something's going to get done to let people go back to work in a systematic way, particularly regionally. Regional epidemiology will be the other thing. What did you ask me? You asked me something.
Well, are we going to get a herd immunity or what's the eventual?
So that's going to be, I bet something like that starts happening in a couple of weeks in certain areas.
But what about getting reinfected? I've heard of people in China getting reinfected.
Not reinfected. It's re-emergence of the disease. It turns out it's not reinfection. It just comes back.
Which it will.
And people, what typically is very rare, but it was people who were still shedding virus, got another illness. They have a couple cases where the virus went away and came back. Now, I don't know what that is. I don't know how they were treated. Somebody's got to study that. I mean, maybe the hydroxychloroquine increases the risk for that kind of thing. I don't know. We got to see. Maybe we weren't giving it long enough. It's all kinds of questions that therapeutically need to be answered. But the other thing that I keep saying is all the measurements of the U.S. healthcare system, where you see in Romania, in China, never measures something like this. And nobody's better than us at this.
Yeah.
Nobody.
America. Fuck yeah, bro.
This is something that we do. I know my peers. I know hospitals.
Yes.
We flex up. We get it done. We take care of business. We are not going to get overwhelmed. We are not. It's just.
I salute the fucking flag, bro. This is the best country. I know.
But salute my healthcare brothers and sisters. They know how to get it done. And we will get it done. And then the supplies and all that. Yeah, it's choppy. Yes, could have been better. It's getting done.
Big picture.
No one's getting hurt because of that choppiness.
Shit's getting done, man. Yeah. Guys, and look, we're going to find out that a lot of more people have it than we, I think, thought.
Well, that's going to be the big thing is when we start. So testing and treatment, right? So I talked a little bit about treatment, and we're going to have antivirals. We're going to be able to open up some of these studies next week and see what's going on, get a preliminary idea. But testing, it's not just testing for the virus. We need to know that so we can monitor those people. We need to start testing for the antibodies. So we can know who's had it. I mean, if you and I have had it, we can move about, go about your life.
Yeah, I know
right?
I had it. God damn it.
I hope the hell I have.
I think we have. Let's just spit in each other's mouths. If you have it, spit in my mouth, and let's just get it over with. Like we'll do like chicken pox back in elementary school when we were kids.
Spit in my mouth.
Yeah. You can baby bird everybody.
But to be fair, everybody thinks they have it.
You guys are horny.
That's great, John. That's my girl.
So everybody's had it. It thinks they've had it, but we need the data.
Does.
We need the data.
Okay,
watch how Dr. Fauci does. He goes, I can't tell you until I have the data.
Yeah, he's
and
smart.
He doesn't speculate. He's a scientist.
When are we going to get these tests? When? That you can see if you have immunity?
You're going to hear about it this week. This is the week we're going to hear about it. I don't know.
Okay. What about children? Since this is a show about children.
Yeah,
let's talk about
there's
their
been
immunity.
some questions about that. People are, did the virus mutate? Is it affecting more young people? The provisional interpretation presently is that we have more young people to get sick that are interacting, that are more that we just have more young people. So we're going to, of course, see more young people getting sick. But there's something going on. My suspicion, ready? I'm just formulating this right now as we're sitting here.
Oh, exciting. Breaking
news. I did not think about this till now.
Okay.
There is some evidence, and this is not factual, this is highly speculative, that the amount of virus you're exposed to initially determines the exuberance of the response, particularly in your lungs. I'm saying the elevator, you get in with a massive dose and breathe in, laugh.
Yeah.
What floor do you want to go to? And that's that's potentially
It's a lot.
massive exposure.
Yeah.
And so, I'm betting that's why New York is seeing more young people, and everybody's exposed in elevators. Everybody. Nobody thought about this. So my deal is masks in elevators or take the stairs. Please,
Interesting.
everybody.
So, but for children, my pediatrician says the mortality rate is really low.
Really ridiculously low. Yeah.
The children are not dying from this.
But the press, I hate the press more than ever.
I know you do.
They run breathlessly to give you a report if one does.
Right.
If somebody does die. Please don't look at the outlying tragedies as meaning anything.
Right.
Frankly.
Right.
These are just outlying events.
They're outliers.
Yes.
They're the rarity. They're not the norm.
Yes.
Okay, let's get to some serious dad questions. Thank you for
right.
answering all these, by the way. And
You know, I like doing it because I feel like it makes me really feel purposeful of just helping people interpret what's going on, because you can't figure it out reading the press. You can't figure it out watching cable news.
Oh, I don't watch it anymore.
And you should not. I
don't
argue
watch it
you should
anymore.
not read the paper. You should not watch the news. Period.
Because literally they'll be like, I feel that the economy is going in the tanker. Let's talk about that for an hour. Your feelings on something, and you're like,
your feelings.
What?
And by the way, who are you?
Yeah.
You're a political commentator from last week. It's
what?
like, yeah.
Yeah, this guy thinks this. Let's talk about that. This guy thinks it's the
And
end of the world.
I
Let's
think
talk-
one of
like,
the interesting things about
okay.
this whole thing, it's the biggest economic experiment in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
I mean, think
What's
about
gonna
it.
happen?
An entire world economy just
Took a shit.
just shuts
at
down.
once.
Just stops.
At once.
And what drives out and what are the consequences? That's going to be fascinating when we get that data. I hope again, my fear has been all the destroyed lives and the suicide and the more calls from Bert Kreischer and
Yes. Clearly the Bert Kreischer calls are the worst. But the suicide too, and I worry about people who are freaking out already about quarantine. I have friends who are real extroverts who are suffering because they can't go and do their stuff, and it's like
comedians.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Do you see what Mark Norman did?
No.
He went on the street corner just with a microphone and a loudspeaker. Did you see that, Nadav?
No.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny, right?
I love it.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
And
Mark's great.
his best comedy, his best joke was two old ladies. He goes, "Man, a cough can be devastating, right? A cough can be devastating. What must a queef do?" And hands the mic over to these old
Oh,
ladies.
that's great.
And they like, is that a generational thing? What's a queef?
Oh, that's Mark's thing. He loves
They're like,
queefs.
bitch, you got
it was a Mark moment. So thank you, Mark Norman, for making my day. Your husband made my day watching his
Ball Hog is out.
I separated Ball Hogs into two. I wanted
Good.
2 days of it.
Good.
And Bert was good. Bert was very good. His comedy
Yes,
special was very
both Bert and Tom have specials out
good.
back
And
to
by the way,
back.
I saw a critique of Tom's special on Twitter yesterday. People just never cease to
crazy.
disappoint me. Why do all the laughs sound exactly the same every joke? You must have recorded it and sweetened it. And I'm like,
That's crazy, Tom.
it's a huge room. He's in a gigantic room.
Yeah.
That's what a gigantic room sounds like. Guess what? Everybody else's comedy specials are sort of medium-sized rooms. I don't know why
Yeah.
Tom selected a huge room.
Yeah, he said
and
theater.
that's what a huge room sounds like.
Well-
I mean, they took the picture from way up on the third balcony to show you how giant it is.
And just to tell you something about my husband, they gave him a mix of his special where he was like, did they just turn up the laughter?
Yeah.
Take that
He wouldn't do
fucking
that.
out.
Yeah.
His integrity is like, I don't want people thinking that I would do that. So he got really mad because an editor did that.
I'm glad I brought this up because
Yeah.
I know what they were talking about in terms of the sound of the laugh was
Yeah, but
different because that's a
it's a
giant
theater.
room.
It was
it's
a huge-
giant
yeah,
room.
it's stupid.
And though you don't see that very often on comedy specials, and he did that.
Yeah, because he's amazing.
Yeah,
So anyway,
thank
check out
you.
Ball Hog if you have not. And Bert Kreischer, it's Birdie Boy, right? Birdie
No,
Boy?
it's hey
fat guy?
big boy.
Hey,
fat guy.
hey, fat shit.
Hey fat piece of shit.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and I will tell you about our sponsor, Batiste. I don't wash my hair every day. It's my dirty little secret, but not so dirty because I use Batiste. Today is a no-wash hair day. I actually don't like washing my hair on days when I am on camera. Why? Because I like to use Batiste instead. I love it. I have the travel size, which is about this big. And I find that it just kind of freshens things up, and I can style my hair, and I don't have to go through the hassle of washing and then drying and then blow drying. Blah, 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 blah. The newest addition to my non-wash routine is Batiste Foam. Instead of absorbing oil And adding body like dry shampoo, Batiste foam gently moisturizes normal or dry hair, leaving it smelling delicious and feeling soft. With 1 dollop of Batiste foam, you'll have a hair refresh in just 60 seconds. Perfect, isn't that? Batiste foam. To be you is refreshing. You fat
Bert is
racist
sort of
fuck.
rising to the occasion in all this.
You think he's getting fatter? I think
no,
we all
he's
are.
not drinking.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He's been. He really helped out yesterday as a technical guy on getting the podcast going.
I love him.
And it's one of the things I'm seeing. I think I told him this. I think I said this on his podcast. Is that there's different kinds. I sort of think about anxiety disorders in different ways. There's me, OCD, panic, anxiety disorder stuff, which Bert has a dose of. And there's alcoholic anxiety disorder, which is its own kind of anxiety thing where they can't tolerate anxiety. They hate it. They drink on it and stuff. And then there's sort of people that get depressed and then anxious, and there are people that get anxious and then depressed. That anxiety causes depression.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anxiety causes depression. And that's closer to the alcoholic thing. There's some overlap with that. Bert has the overlap with me and the alcoholic thing, right? But if you have the alcoholic anxiety thing, they get kind of turned on by extreme circumstances, and they're never better than in crises.
Oh, that's interesting.
Actually,
that's how I am. I'm really good in
You are alcoholic
tragedy.
at heart.
Yeah.
But it's because you got that genetics. Maybe. Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't drink.
No, I know, but you're not manifesting. But maybe you have
Right.
that kind of
I
genetic
do.
makeup. Yeah. And I talked about this with Mike Carano, is on my podcast, on the Dr. Drew podcast. Not After Dark. It's a different podcast at drdrew.com. And he's an alcoholic. And he was talking about how he's like, he like secretly goes, I'm kind of turned on by all this. I go, that's the alcoholic.
Well, because I thrive in chaos because my childhood was chaotic.
That's
so,
different. That's a little different.
Okay, so maybe.
That's you're traumatized by chaos, so you're attracted to it.
Yeah.
It feels
That's
right.
why stand-up feels right. But these scenarios, I actually sleep better than I've ever slept in this quarantine. And I bake all day. I've been cooking. I've been making my friends recipes and like happy.
Right.
I'm
So
really happy.
So literally, because the world is chaotic.
Yeah.
Literally at home.
Yeah. I'm like,
at home in chaos.
this feels nice.
The world's falling apart.
Yeah.
I always said I would.
Weird.
I would. Here's a little sidebar.
Yeah, I love sidebar.
For people that talk about alcoholic addicts pejoratively, negatively, I always go, hey, there's a reason that gene is in our genome. It's survived through everything. It stays constant. And it stays constant because nobody is a better survivalist, survivor than somebody with the genetics of alcoholism in a horrible situation, particularly like military assaults and stuff. Time slows down for them. They keep their wits about them. Anxiety vaporizes.
Yep.
They get kind of turned on by it. They're at their best.
That's how I am in a crisis.
I run away. I get a spear in my back with my little phobia and panic disorder.
Oh, no.
But the alcoholic goes at it, leans in.
Yeah.
And leaning in is sort of a way you can deal with panic too.
That's what I do.
Which was what I was going to say. Like if you're feeling anxious, see what internal resources you have. Lean in. There's a great book called Dare that helps you operationalize that.
Very fascinating. That's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, because whenever the shit hits the fan, I'm the one that steps into action, and I love it. Like, I saw this fucking pandemic coming. I ordered the toilet paper 2 weeks before it hit. I got meat in the freezer. I got the cans of corn. I'm ready, bro.
Look how turned on you are. Yeah, look at that.
Because I was like, this is my role. I was
My
born
moment.
for this. Yeah.
I'm a mommy.
Yeah. I know
King
what
mommy.
I'm doing here.
Forget Tiger King. King mommy.
Dude, everyone in my house is chilling and happy.
Speaking of Tiger King, you must have some questions about that. Come on now.
What is not going on with them? I mean, we got meth. We got...
So the overarching issue is drug addiction.
Durr.
Everybody's a drug addict. Everybody.
What about the killer, the lady, Carol?
Carol is a
psychopath.
Not a psychopath, because there's a lot of psychopathy-ish stuff in amongst the other guys, right?
Ugh.
You know, all the manipulativeness, the lack of emotionality and stuff, and there's a lot of criminality and things. And apparently psychopaths are attracted to big cats. That's been shown. Yeah.
Of course.
And of course drug addicts are clearly.
Of course.
So Carol, all I see is trauma with her. And so there's probably, if we were actually, she puts on okay, all you cats and gals, I bet there's a side of her that is brutal and rageful.
Do you know
That's the trauma stuff, flipping and flopping.
Yes, and do you know who she reminds me of? OJ. Whenever you hear OJ talk, he's always like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
And the what's that? No. She does the same thing. What do you? I couldn't put his hand in the meat grinder. You're like, bitch. The right answer is, I didn't kill him. Yeah. Why would I grind him? Yeah. Not, I couldn't fit his hand in a 6-inch.
I'm going to
crazy bitch.
I'm going to step away from that a little bit and go, I know how documentaries are made, and maybe she said that somewhere, and maybe that didn't get on the documentary. So I'm going to give her a little pass there.
Okay.
But that mechanism that you're identifying, it happens in lots of different kinds of personality disorders.
Strippers, porn stars go, yeah, like I did a double anal. And they laugh. Right. That nervous stripper laughter.
Right.
What is that?
It's dismissing pain with laugh and blanking on the word, but there's a word for dismissing and making light of painful things.
Yeah, you kind of you laugh to deal with the uncomfortability.
Well, but also to dismiss it, right? So OJ's dismissing it actively. Carol's dismissing it actively. The stripper's dismissing it so she doesn't feel it.
Yeah.
So.
God damn, what a study. Okay, but please, we have dad questions.
All right.
Jerking it too much. Does tugging one out regularly 1 to 3 times a day generally have negative or positive side effects on a man's health?
Is this a daddy or a singlet?
This is
let's assume it's a single guy, right? Because there's an impact on the relationship, right? If you're a daddy, you've got some you need some chi left over for your partner. You understand?
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
He says it can help prevent prostate cancer.
No, there's some data about that, but probably not.
Releases positive hormones,
yes,
relaxes you,
yes,
keeps your swimmers fresh.
Yeah, not so much about that. But because there's an optimum zone in terms of concentration and freshness of swimmers, and it's different for different guys. But your testosterone level, there's some evidence that it sort of peaks with certain levels of sexual activity and then goes down the other side if you do too much. So you need just enough. And if this guy once a day is just enough, that's not unusual. But I worry more about having available chi for your partner.
Well, that's a nice, gosh, that reminds me so much of...
your childhood?
Yeah. My dad would jerk off all day now. One of the celebrity rehabs you did, it was a sex addiction person.
Oh, yeah.
And how they use masturbation or just orgasms as a form of drug, essentially. Emotional regulation.
Yeah, that was an interesting group, man. And Penny Flame.
Yes, I loved Penny Flame.
Became Jenny Ketchum, and she's now a medical social worker in Washington.
Fantastic.
Actually moving back down here. She's an amazing professional.
I liked her very much on that show.
Brilliant girl, and just, oh my God. Those stories, you get one of those, and you're like, let's hope for everybody.
But I had never known that until I watched your show about it. Like, oh, that does make sense, because when you're depressed and you just masturbate all day, like when you're on the road and you're like, I've eaten everything, I've watched everything, what do I do now? And how many people are masturbating through this quarantine? I feel bad for people that are alone and just compulsively masturbate.
Because porn.
Because porn.
Because porn. That's why all.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens with that.
Do you think that's negatively affecting our relationships? Pornography?
We don't even know yet. People have a lot of ink is spilled on its effect on men and women relating and stuff. My bigger concern is our neurodevelopment.
Yeah.
We don't know what it does to our brain development when you're exposed to that at 9 or 11, which is the average age of exposure.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that do? If you did that to some other primate, you don't think they'd spin out?
Yeah.
Right?
It's overstimulating at that age. They don't know what to do with it.
It is. And it locks in preferences and ideas and things, particularly for the males.
Yeah. What's this shit about people who like to play littles? Like on TikTok, I have these people that are like, I go into my little space when I dissociate, and they have a passy and a lovey. I swear to God.
A passy and a lovey?
And they pretend to be toddlers.
You're like a TikTok ninja. You find stuff that is like, how you find this stuff.
Oh, wait until tomorrow's YMH. I got a whole new crop of Corona talks.
I want some after dark too, when you can send them over our way. But I got to say, if you should put that stuff to good use. Why don't you start researching, do some scientific research or something, because that is some crazy ass shit you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you got it. So what is that? It's a coping mechanism. They're called littles, and these people they say, oh, I started dissociating today, and so I went into my little space, and they'll have a passy and a lovey and start talking like babies.
Yeah,
and
it's
such.
all that. That's what all that baby stuff is. It's dissociation, and it's oftentimes either a regression, or a walled off part of yourself that got highly traumatized at that age that didn't develop with the rest of you.
And you're accessing that when you're
You're flipping into it.
You're
not accessing it quite literally. You're flipping into it. The goal of treatment would be to give you access to that stuff so it regulates as part of the whole.
Got you. So I'm going into this thing. I need.
No, you start working on all the emotions that are keeping it locked in.
Wow.
Yeah.
The human is fascinating, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Why did wife hate me for a year? Why did my wife hate me so fucking much during the first year of our oldest child's life?
Because you did that to her. because that's how she feels.
I tried my best to be supportive and helpful.
And she may have been depressed.
Yeah.
Which is very common. Irritability is part of depression, and people miss that.
So how can I navigate this situation as we are expecting our second child? Thanks. Help, Dan.
Have a talk to the obstetrician about what the behavior was like during that first year, and he will say, "Oh, she had postpartum depression."
100%.
Yeah, and get that treated this time.
Lexapro.
Something.
Let me tell you something, because I had it so bad, my postpartum depression, the first kid, that the second kid rolled around, and I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Good.
I need to be medicated.
And did you blame Tom and irritable towards him?
The first kid, I was a mess. I didn't know what postpartum depression was. I hated him. I resented him. I felt like I was trapped with the newborn while his life continued. It was a nightmare.
Classic.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. And I also had severe anxiety. I'm going to drop the baby. The baby's going to die. And
somebody's going to steal it.
Boy, oh boy. Okay, son thinks he's a supermodel. Hi, Gene. My son recently, while teething, has found out he can make himself puke. He sticks his fingers down his throat like a little supermodel and throws up all over himself. What do I do?
How old is he?
Recently, while he's teething, has found out he can make himself puke. I'm assuming
he's like 4 months, 6 months.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That's crazy.
I've never heard of that one.
But it is an interesting, if you think about it biologically, there are people that get bulimia, they get high from vomiting. And so vomiting in certain biological makeups can be highly stimulating and rewarding. So this kid must sort of have that, and because he's just a autonomous ball of neurochemicals, just keeps like
he's like that produces something.
Yeah, so we talked to a pediatrician about some behavioral interventions, maybe something on his hands or something, so you can't.
Or you just say, stop doing that, dummy, when he does it.
It's probably not going to work, because he's probably like, you don't want him doing it at night when he's lying in bed, aspirate. So I think I would think in terms of, do they ever put stuff on the hands?
Mittens.
Or bitters or something that tastes bad, something old-fashioned stuff.
Talk to the pediatrician, because that sounds like
I'm sure they have seen it, because there's nothing, as physicians, in the material that you work on, there's nothing you haven't seen.
Yeah.
You see everything.
Can I tell you, in the short time that you and I have been doing podcasts together, I start to see my own body so differently. Like, I have like 0.0 shame about disease, smells, weirdness, because I'm starting to see my body as a machine, as a mechanical thing that breaks down, and you need to
Yeah.
Like, there's so much weird attachment to shame and things about the body,
I endorse the idea that you look at it as a machine, but I try to encourage people to think in terms of our biology. We are these biological entities, and biology is infinitely complex, and it's so astonishing. It's amazing we get from one day to the next. It's amazing we exist. We should have awe and gratitude for every day we exist. It's truly a miracle when you really understand not just the biochemistry, but even the physics behind this.
And just taking care of your body too. Like, now in my 40s, I have to really, really take care of myself, because this is the second half of the second act of life, Fuck. And you don't want to be fat. That's what I've learned, is that there are no fat old people.
You don't want to be fat. Mostly you want to be fit. The fit is more important than the fat, because if you're not working out the whole way along, you don't get to go back and start over. You're starting from some depleted state, and you can't get it back.
Oh God. Okay.
That's been my one thing. One of the things I'm grateful for is I enjoy working out.
Yeah.
It's necessary for me, and now my joints are all fucked up. But
I know I couldn't do my Pilates since this whole thing is quite a nightmare. Okay. Hi, Dr. Drew.
What's your stand-up going to be like now?
Oh,
you going to change everything?
No, it's actually No, I'm pretty dark.
Are you writing new jokes as a
Yeah.
result of the state we're in? Are you writing jokes about coronavirus?
I don't think anybody's going to want to talk about this. When we're done with this, we're going to be done.
Yeah.
And I think the suffering is going to be good for us as a comedy audience.
Sound like your dad.
Yes. I'll tell you why. I'm telling you, man,
Say it
alcoholics.
with your dad's accent.
Yeah, this is good for everybody. Suffering is important. No, you know what my dad would say about this? This is fucking bullshit. This is nothing.
Well, you know,
Coronavirus is nothing.
Well, that's what my dad would say. My
This
dad
is
was a family
nothing.
practitioner. He would just go,
Yeah, what are you talking
"This is
about?
the flu. What are
Yeah.
we doing?
Yeah.
What if we have a real virus, like an Ebola type thing that takes off?
That's what I'm
What are you
saying.
gonna do? How are you gonna if you've ruined everything with this? Maybe on the heels of it, something. I mean, what are you doing? Because he'd be like, "The summer of '52, the polio virus
Yes.
killed all those kids. You know how horrible that was."
Ebola turned your insides into liquefied shit. This is a bad flu, people.
Yes.
Put it in
And
perspective.
put it in perspective. Don't.
I'm not
diminish-
diminishing
don't
it. It
diminish and
sucks.
don't. But I think perspective is important because it keeps our anxiety under control and
Yes.
it helps our judgment in this situation.
Yes,
That's all.
this is bullshit. This is nothing. Russians
dad's first name?
killed us. Art.
Arpad.
Arpad.
Was he in the St. Petersburg quarantine? You know, when the Nazis
The
took over St.
Gulag?
Petersburg.
No, he was
the
in.
cordoning off St. Petersburg.
He was in the revolution, 1956. I was
The
10 years
Yugoslavian?
old.
What?
No,
Russian?
the Russians came into Budapest, and
that's right.
the Hungarians were like,
Oh,
"Suck
yeah.
it, Russians, get out of here!" And they fought the Russians. It was a
and the
revolution.
Russians took over.
And and they kind of won for a while. That whole Cold War.
How
But
did he not get killed by being on the opposite side of that?
no clue. They were killed.
He just took off.
But you know what my dad said? He goes, "I was there. I was right there. I was standing right there." Whenever I go to Hungary with him, I was there. I was 10 years old. I picked up the machine gun and I played with it. I picked up grenades. I fucking played with it. Big deal. Come on, your life is not bad. I'm like, okay. What are you depressed about?
Have to interview your
Yeah,
dad.
I
I
know.
must.
He's in
interview-
Vietnam. I don't know if he's got a new wife, new life. He's in Vietnam.
But he's traveling.
I don't fucking know. All I know is he's in Vietnam.
You must get rid of this man. He is this 10 RPCs for one art. It's like, please.
I wish. Listen, man,
Please.
he's MIA. I don't know. He's doing his thing. Okay.
Please reconnect and have a
I
relationship
will.
with
I'm
him so
trying.
I can get an interview with
if
him.
we all survive this, how
Oh,
about I
of
make a
course.
deal? If we survive this, if he's not dead, I mean, he's 74, 3. If he survives it, okay.
He's declared himself a cockroach. He's gonna survive, of course.
They're resilient. Okay. I co-parent my 10-year-old son with my ex who lives in a different state and has my son most of the year. I recently found Google searches on his iPad via my parental settings regarding him searching for pornography.
The kid.
The 10-year-old son.
10-year-old, yeah.
The question is, how do I help him navigate these waters without him having crazy expectations about what is realistic with a partner?
Okay, this is my point. That's not the problem.
Yeah, that's
The
not
problem
the
is a
problem.
10-year-old exposed to excessively stimulating material and what that does to his brain.
It's a form of, it's essentially
A drug.
Well, and it's abuse. It's abuse. It's like sexual abuse, isn't it?
It goes in that same zone.
file.
Same file as
Yeah.
sex abuse because it shatters the upper limits of a 10-year-old's regulatory system. It's like, whoosh, what am I saying?
Too stimulating.
Too much, yeah. Especially if they're like going into it, then staying with it. So ideally, I would have someone evaluate him. I mean, clearly he's struggling a little bit.
Who evaluate?
Like
a therapist?
a therapist, yeah.
I think so too.
A child therapist. And not just because of that. Let's assume that's a symptom of something else going on too. That he's struggling with the separation and the different lives in different parts of the country and stuff. That's a big deal.
And so he's searching for this stuff.
He's searching to feel better.
Yeah.
So he's not feeling
And
good.
it's confusing for a kid because it probably is kind of enticing and neat to look
Oh.
at. And at the same time, you don't know what to do with
Well, as a
all
10-year-old
that.
male, you feel like it's status too. It's like, oh, I'm part of
Found
that.
boobs.
Yeah.
Gosh,
It's like
terrifying.
essentially what an M80 was when I was 10. if you had firecrackers or an M80, you had status.
Right. Gosh,
And now
isn't
it's
that
the porn they
funny?
find. Yes, it is funny. And not.
Yeah, I will tell you, everybody's like, how are you keeping your kids entertained in this quarantine? I'm like, I don't have to. They're 2 little boys. You really just let them loose in the yard and let them throw rocks or dig dirt or find worms or spiders and sticks
And beat each other up.
and beat the shit out of you.
Yes.
That's right. That's what they do, man.
That's what they
I don't have to entertain them. Okay. And anyway, boredom's good. Okay. Anger issue. I don't like to think of myself as an angry person, but my kids make anger. My kids make anger that I didn't know was their bubble up. I've done some counseling in the past to work on this, and I probably should do some more.
You should definitely do some more because this is your stuff from your
Yes.
childhood coming back.
Why do my kids make my anger bubble up?
Yeah, because you're identifying with the kids in some way. You had something in your childhood, abuse or whatever, that is activating this anger. So think of it, bubbling up is a great way of thinking about it. I'm sure your therapist sort of used that term. But it's something is still not right, and you need on one hand, some sort of cognitive behavioral therapy so you can manage it when it comes, and some deeper therapies to figure out what's going on there with the trauma.
Okay. Yes, because like you said, it's not about what the children are doing. It's your reaction. It's deep in the vaults, dude. That anger is a response to previous. So
You
need
your
to
stuff.
go.
One of the trick to parenting is doing what's right without your emotional involvement. And I don't mean emotional investment, and I don't mean you're not emotionally engaged with your kids. I mean the emotions that come with the action that you must take must exit the scene.
Yeah.
You're the executioner. You're not the judge and jury. Right?
Interesting.
You may be the judge and jury in order to become the executioner, but when it comes time to be the executioner, it's out of your hands.
Yeah.
You're just doing what you have to do as a
gotta
parent.
follow
You're
through.
not angry and furious and upset and conflicted. You just have to drop the axe.
Just got to do it. I got to take your toy away. You kicked your brother. This is just what's
and
happening.
the more dispassionately you can do it, the more effective that is.
Yeah, I agree because adding anger and everything.
Well, then they've got
just
something to engage
shames.
with. Now they're angry at you and they're engaging you and blah blah blah. It's like I told you, do that the third time. The toy's going.
Just the
I didn't do
rule.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it, but
It's the rule, and you must follow.
I always think of like the guy holding the rope in the guillotine.
Yeah.
I just let the rope go. That's it. I had to do it. I told you I would do it.
I told you I would do it.
I know.
And also
not even I told you. Just that's
you.
my
Yeah.
job. I have
Yeah.
to let that rope go.
That is the job, and
Yeah.
that's the gig, is to be the enforcer, and also to not heap on shame. Because my parents were like, "Why are you doing this? It's so bad." Come on, Christina. You know. And it's like,
That
hey,
sounds like your
now
mom.
you're
That's your mom.
heaping on. Yeah,
That's more your mom, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's not your
Heaping
dad.
on the shame. No, he
your
would be like,
dad-
come on.
Yeah.
No, my dad didn't give a shit enough to
Right,
say
exactly,
anything.
exactly.
The indifference was the pain. Okay. I'm not a dad, but my girl calls me daddy. Thoughts on that? Why do you think men like being called daddy?
I'm not sure what he does. So let's reframe that question as why does this guy like being called daddy?
Right.
It feels powerful, I suppose.
I never understood this either. This calling a man daddy in a sexual context.
It would make
It's bizarre
It
to
would
me.
creep me out.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It would. It's a little baby talk, so it's kind of terms of endearment, right? It can be just goo goo gaga if somebody already inclined towards baby talk, which people do that. People do that.
I know.
And it can be normative.
I can disapprove of it.
Yeah, you can sit in
I can have
judgment.
quiet
You
disdain.
can sit and have judgment. But there's nothing, it doesn't necessarily mean something. It's when the word daddy comes out and you have a sense that there's something new emerging, that the person suddenly seems like that's not the person I normally see.
You mean their behavior is changing?
Yeah, that there's a whole sort of person that comes forward with the word daddy. Not that they have dissociative identity disorder, but sometimes people will sort of do that. A part of themselves will come forward that's traumatized, and you can kind of feel that if you're close to somebody. So pay attention to that.
What percentage of people that do porn are severely traumatized?
High percentage.
Is it true? What I'm trying to ask you is, I just love sex. I love it.
Oh, yeah,
and that's horseshit,
yeah,
right?
that's always
There's
horseshit,
no way.
Yeah. No way.
No.
No.
Thank you.
And-
Thank you for validating
and
my
it doesn't
belief.
have to be severe trauma because the threshold to enter the field is lower these days.
Yeah.
But it's always some at least conflicted feelings about. I mean, there's I guess there's so many different versions now, right? I mean, we're really talking about somebody who's like having porn with actors, having sex with actors to distribute, right? They're into that. That's always a certain population.
Yeah. I know.
But in there is, there's some people with personality stuff that is not necessarily a result of trauma.
Right. Oh, just like sociopathy
That
and
kind
such?
of stuff. That kind of stuff. So,
Okay. How do I not kick my wife in the dick? Quick question. My wife and I have an 8-month-old son who is already walking and climbing. Jeez.
Oh, boy.
He's crazy. My wife works from home, and because of the virus, my fabrication shop is shut down from the state.
So how do you hang out together?
Are we getting this question from a lot of dads
this
who
makes sense.
suddenly have to be home with the kid?
Yeah.
So let's see. What can we do? She doesn't understand. Anyway, fucking ruining my marriage, and I can't work. So we've got a lot of men right now who are having to take over the quote mom role of being home if mom can. Right now, my husband is alone with our 2 children, and he will fucking hate me when I get home.
That singular issue, my response is suck it up.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Come on, you pussy.
You're a dad. Suck it up.
Yeah.
It's time. There's a time. In situations like this, you really find out what people are all about. You know what I mean? And all of us need to step forward, step into these things, and don't resist when we're needed. Mm-hmm. Suck it up. You may not like that role all the time. You'll learn to be good at it. Lean in.
I love it.
Now, that's different than I feel useless, I can't work, I'm not good with women and relationships, and I get irritable if I'm around people too much. A lot of guys are that way.
Yeah.
And take walks, take time out, get out of there,
Take
go dig a
time
ditch,
out.
do something active,
Yes.
do something in the garage. Believe me, your wife wants you out of there too.
Yeah, she doesn't like you either, man. You think, and also you don't think women get frustrated all day taking care of children? We're not totally different in that regard. Like you lose your fucking mind. You say, I gotta go.
But women have this different motivational system that makes them want to be around the child more. Like I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, and then miss them more when they're apart. The men experience some of that, but not with the intensity that most women do.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't be away from them for too long.
Right. People go, why don't women, why do they leave work? Except because they can't talk. It's uncomfortable to be away. They literally just responding to their biology.
I know.
And we should figure out a way to support that in the workplace.
Yes.
Get people to return to work or part work or homework or whatever. We should figure out ways to do that and not pretend it doesn't happen.
I know.
We pretend now it doesn't happen.
I know.
Like, you just go back to work in 2 weeks.
Yeah, everything's fine. You're like, well, my body's beaten up beyond belief, and emotionally I'm a mess, and physically, and no, it doesn't work that way. Okay.
We also watched Ali Wong's stand up again.
I love it.
Immediately after pregnancy, talking about how the body's beaten up so bad.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
She wears her Asian pair underwear. Okay. This is an interesting question and kind of philosophical.
Okay.
He says, I'm in a long-term relationship and my girlfriend and I are discussing having kids. Mm-hmm. As parents, what are your best arguments for having kids? And Dr. Drew, what is the best and worst part about being a dad? Mark.
Okay. The reason the best thing about parenting is it always gives your life meaning and purpose. And you can have meaning and purpose at parts of your life depending on what you're doing. But moving our genes forward is the reason we are here. Sorry, that's the reason we're here.
Yeah.
To sustain the species.
Yeah.
Now, you might have feelings about that we can talk about whether that's good or bad or whatever, but that's the biology. We are here to move our genes forward. And doing that has lots of feelings associated with it that are quite fulfilling. And if anything else happens in your life negative, and you've done that effectively, you will always think back, go, well, at least I've done that. They're fine. They're fine. It doesn't matter so much anymore as moving the next generation forward. And doing that, helping them do it successfully and to their own satisfaction and whatever it is, that provides universal meaning at all points in your life. Whenever I've been challenged with medical diagnoses and stuff like that, I immediately just go, okay, they're fine. This is good.
Yeah.
This is I had a nice life and okay.
Yeah, 100%. Like even with this virus, I don't give a shit. If I'm sick as hell and I'm dying, I'm like, yeah, but my kids are fine.
Yeah.
My kids are fine.
Yeah.
My kids are fine.
Yeah.
My kids are fine.
I would just argue your kid. This was part of the anxiety when the kids were younger. I know they needed me back then.
Yeah.
And I needed to stick around to make sure we got to the point where we are now, where I'm like, good, you're good.
Yeah, I can die now.
Yeah, whatever. It's not about me. it's only about me when it's about you. And then what is the most enjoyable part?
What's the best and worst part about being a dad?
Some of the best parts were participating with them in their project sports and theater and ice skating and stuff like that. Just sitting on the sideline and just enjoying their performances and what they were doing was deeply rewarding for me.
To see them flourish
Just
and grow.
I
and
just remember
be.
sitting. I remember my kids were all three of them were in a musical, and I just sat there that night. And I went, I could sit in this theater forever, and that would be just fine. Everything would be good, because they were just enjoying themselves. They were good, and everything. And then worst, I would say the worst is my anxiety, the stuff we've been talking about, anxiety about them getting sick, me getting sick and not making it through and not keeping things, giving them enough what they need, blah, blah, blah. That anxiety was the worst. But it was necessary.
To keep them alive, right?
It was just to keep me going.
Yeah.
It was what kept me really working my ass off. So
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because Tom and I have always been a very driven couple. Before we had children, building the empire was what we talked about. And I noticed that when I pumped out our first youngin', his focus and drive went even more.
right.
That's right. Men tend to go,
Yes.
I got to earn way more.
Yes.
And the mom goes, I got to hunker down and take care of the inside.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We got college. How am I going to pay for college?
3.
Which is what I said in the room at when the first ultrasound was done. My wife has not forgiven me. Here's the story. I was in the waiting room reading projections of college expenses for 20 years hence, which turned out to be exactly spot on. And so I was like, and I go in, I see 4 embryos. Because I know how to read an ultrasound. I'm like, how am I going to pay for the college? How am I going to do this? And that became my concern
Like
for the next
radio show, TV show.
Yes, that became the next concern for the next 20 years. But for the grace of God, we met it. But we're still paying for school right now.
Yeah.
One in law school, one in graduate medical. We just kept going. So thank God I paid attention to that.
Good for you.
Thank God. So good for Tom.
Yeah.
You hunker down. Let Tom do his thing.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of him, and I think personally, like you said, it's rewarding.
Talk to my wife. I wish she were proud of me for what I did. She was
really?
nothing but complaints because I was at work.
You were gone.
I was out. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is old school thinking, and my mother would say the same. So I'm gonna get a lot of hate on this, but sorry, those guys who are home all the time are fucking losers. Okay, either you have a guy, he's not here but he's making money, or he's out and he's making money.
As soon as we finish this show, you need to call my wife. As soon as we finish, I'm going to put you on the phone together.
But I'm telling you, I'm kind of old school that way. I'm like, yes, my husband's gone a lot. Yes, I'm taking responsibility for raising our children for the most part. But what's the opposite? That he's home and he's helping me and he's not doing like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Make the
Believe
money.
me, I lived it.
Go make the fucking money. You know what I mean?
And
I want the money. I don't need you. I got a nanny. Go make the money.
And you could turn around and go, well, why didn't he stay home and you go out and make the money?
He's making more than me.
Well, that's what each couple has to do. Has to go, who's got the most efficient job? It's efficiency.
Yeah.
You start going, who can make the most money and who has the best?
Yes.
Let's work it out,
But here's the problem with women is that if we dip out of the workforce entirely, come 18 years from now, we are unhireable.
Well, so that's the part that needs to be worked out.
Right.
And we're not focused on that. We're pretending it doesn't happen. We need to really be realistic about what the needs are, what the optimization of your work from home, staying at it, whatever it is. Let's look at the optimum case and support that.
Yes.
Find ways to support that. It's like, God, if this corona thing doesn't teach us anything, is that we can do a lot when we put our mind to it.
Yes, you're very resourceful.
Yeah.
But what I love about children, by the way, is that it grows you up. I don't think you're an adult until one or both of your parents have died, and B, you have children, because you realize that you are the final. You're the final cause, so to speak. There's no infinite regress. The shit's up to you now.
Yep.
You're a grown up, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's fucking great. Okay. I think, can I just do one more?
Yeah.
One more, because I'm so happy you're here and I just adore you so much. Okay.
Let's bring some of these over to the After Dark later.
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, but I don't think you're on for a couple of weeks. I think.
Well, we'll bring them over. I have these wonderful questions for you, and Nadav will save them.
Yeah.
Birthing in a corona world. We talked about this yesterday on your show. My name is Morgan. I'm currently 8 months pregnant with my first child.
Yeah.
I have a C-section scheduled for May 29th. This is how I would prefer to bring our baby into the world under perfect circumstances. Unfortunately, New York has instituted COVID-19 procedures that do not allow partners in the OR and the delivery room. I've also heard of hospitals separating newborns from their mother to prevent the spread of the virus. As a first-time mom, the thought of having a baby alone is terrifying. The thought of having a baby at home in my bathtub with a midwife like it's 1802 is also terrible.
Did we talk to this woman?
I don't know.
Does it sound exactly like her?
What's her name? Morgan?
Nicole, I think. But who knows?
But how many women? I mean, my heart goes out to every pregnant woman right now.
Okay, so pregnancy has been highly studied. Pregnant women do very well. So you don't have to worry about something horrible is going to happen because of the infection.
Okay.
It doesn't get transmitted to the baby. We are hearing stories of babies getting sick, so that's why they're being extra careful with the babies. But it is what it is. And your feelings are totally valid, and it is horrible. But it is what it is. So go with it. Just go with it. I agree. The bathtub, not the greatest thing right now, because when things go wrong, you're being crashed into the emergency room with the COVID patients. So I would do this in as systematic and contained a way as possible. You know what's interesting about this whole thing is you start to see human history differently being in a situation like this. Like one of the things I've started doing that was shocking to me, I've started like being just into high culture.
What do you mean?
All of a sudden I'm listening to Beethoven. I'm reading more. I'm like, where is this coming from? It's like I'm like appreciating it, and I'm listening to opera. I'm way into it. I'm like, I have no idea why, but I feel like I'm being driven into it by
this tragedy,
not having else to distract me,
yeah,
and appreciating things. Appreciating everything, and I read the arts section of the New York Times with nothing's happening, but I read it anyway because I'm like, isn't that weird? I wonder if other people are feeling that.
I'm feeling this. Here's what I've been doing. I really have been seeing this as a retirement. Like I've always actually had this fantasy of doing nothing. When my therapist would ask me,
of course you're lazy.
Yeah, you're fucking lazy. But my dream was always ultimately to retire at 50 and go live in Tahiti and just be. I don't want to fucking do anything.
You won't be able to do that.
That's what my shrink says.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, Dr. Drew, I'm very good at doing nothing.
Me too.
Piddling. I love the queen of piddling.
Me too.
I love a 5-hour flight. I'll sit there
our
quiet.
dream was exactly the same. And we get pieces of it now.
That's what I love.
And we were kind of moving towards it when this all happened.
Yeah.
But you'll find you need purpose.
Yeah, I know.
And then your kids have all kinds of
my kids are
stuff that you're going to need and do and whatever. And so, you're not going to the beach at Tahiti.
No.
Sorry. And then they're going to have grandkids. And you're not going.
I want the grandkids. I want the grandkids so much. But the thing is, too, I've been cooking things. I've wanted to learn to bake since 2015.
Isn't that interesting? So that's your version of my classical music thing.
That's right.
Isn't that weird?
No, I mean 2015.
But it's all stuff that humans have done.
Yeah.
When that was the normative environment, we're just surviving, right? We don't know if tomorrow it's going to be polio tomorrow. It's going to be smallpox. It's going to be the Indians or the Native Americans that are surrounding us, or it's going to be my neighbor with the shotgun. Or everything was very threatening. Yes. I don't mean this. I know. Please don't get on me. I don't mean that Native Americans. Believe me, the whitey did the worst. I get it. I'm just saying that life felt threatening for people and for a lot of the time in this country. And they would do stuff.
And that is what this pace that we're at is what we're meant to be at, I believe. This pace of like,
we won't stay here.
Take a walk.
Stay here. Yeah, I know. But we will not.
We're not going to stay here. Take a walk, bake a cookie, make dinner for your family. This is what I'm doing.
It's Beethoven's, I think, 250th birthday or something. Listen to his symphonies. I found two new symphonies I'd never heard.
Text them to me.
His first and his fourth. Just go look it up on YouTube.
What's your favorite recipe? I'm making my friend's recipes. Will you send it to me? I've done Katie Morton's pasta, Eliza Schlesinger's husband. I've done a meat recipe. I'm doing, what am I doing tonight? I'm doing bolognese, my best friend's bolognese.
See, all my
you cook?
favorite stuff I can't really eat. I'm on this carnivore thing. And and so.
Those some of your favorite shit.
Bolognese sounds amazing.
Anyways, thank you so much for being here. I adore you. Thank you for being the one person who's standing up and being rational.
Thank you for letting me be a part of your mom's house.
Always.
It's the
You're
best.
The best.
I mean, it's been so great from the beginning, from the moment. And so there's an organic little fit here.
I love you.
We appreciate it.
I've loved you for years, and I'm thrilled that you're in our lives. Anyways, thank you, mommies. Thank you for listening and downloading. Until next time, stay cool, moms. Wash your fucking hands, right?
Keep your hands away from your face. Hand Nazi. Hand Nazi. Be a hand Nazi.
Where my mom's at? Where my mom's wearing thongs, hitting bongs at? Raising kids, cleaning shits, need a long nap. Where my mom's at?
Where My Mom's At podcast with Christina P.